The following is brought to you by Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. TotalSeal.com. Hello and welcome to the holiday edition of Hidden Horsepower presented by Total Seal. I'm Joe Castello and we are joined by Lake Speed Jr. Lake, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you. Oh, you got a hat, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm in the Christmas mood, baby. It's all about the holiday season.
I will see
there you go. All right. Hey, catching on.
And raise you a hat with a rope and what were they thinking when they did this? Those of you listening on audio only, it's a Christmas hat with like a little rope, and then the ball is at the end of the rope, like a mace.
You got the dangle going on.
Something. Let's not talk about dangling. Let's talk about. We just wrapped up PRI. It was great. Mm-hmm. We're headed into 2022, and we just wanted to jump on here on YouTube and Facebook and our groups and just kind of make sure everybody knows. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy Holidays from Hidden Horsepower. What a year it was.
Oh, no doubt. Like you said, PRI was phenomenal. The overwhelming feedback was how much people appreciate the podcast. I mean, I bet 90% of the people that stopped by the booth at the PRI show said, man, we love the podcast. Keep it going. So thank you. Thank you, Hidden Horsepower listeners. We appreciate that feedback. And I mean, we're doubling down. So I think 2022 is going to be hopefully the best year yet for Hidden Horsepower. We've got a lot of great interviews coming up, coming from the Engine Performance Expo. And hey, coming up here over the holidays, be on the lookout. The first episodes we recorded live from PRI, we're going to be dropping some of those. So I think the new year has got lots of good in store.
Definitely. And it's amazing. I do my own podcast called WFO Radio, but it's a very different audience. Like the primary force for WFO Radio is for entertainment, so people can hear drag racers, and that's great. But we got so much feedback. Like I didn't really understand, because this is the first PRI since Hidden Horsepower existed, where people can come up and say, hey, I'm listening for these reasons, and I learned this, and thank you very much. I was kind of shocked, actually, but how many people came by and said what's up for the podcast as an informative exercise, right? When you guys came to me and said, hey, let's do a podcast, and I said, yeah, let's do a podcast, I did not fully understand the power of what we were going to do for the shop guy, the engine builder, the up and coming experts. Nick Ferry. Oh, yes, I listen every week because of these reasons.
Right.
Come on,
exactly.
Nick. You got nothing better to do than listen to a podcast? No, it because he's learning stuff on there. Amazing.
Oh, I mean, Joe, you're 100% right. It never in my wildest imagination when we started this could have I envisioned this community of engine enthusiasts coming together. I mean, yeah, like you said, having guys like Nick Ferry who are regular listeners. I mean, and that's just one of probably 100 real professional engine builders that I know of personally that listen. So, man, we got to raise our game. The stakes have been raised. These guys are listening to us. They expect good stuff. This episode's not going to be one of those that gives it to you, unfortunately.
No, definitely not. This is the light holiday episode. Everybody knows what the holiday parties are like. They're light. Somebody usually gets in trouble for putting themselves on the photocopier, that kind of deal. We're not going to have that problem. But I do want to share a couple of photographs from PRI. But more importantly, though, there was a product announcement. Let's reiterate that. Product announcement from Total Seal.
That's true. Yeah, we launched our Endurance oil ring. So, the oil ring is really a three-piece design in the modern oil ring, which is two oil scrapers, two rails, and the expander. Well, the expander is essentially a spring. And like most springs, that over use and time, they tend to lose a little bit of that spring rate. Well, that spring rate is what actually gives it the ability to scrape and control the oil. Because oil has a lower octane value than fuel, you really don't want oil in the combustion chamber, especially in excess. So what happens is, say, the modern 2 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, 2.8 millimeter, even 3 millimeter ring packages, they're lower tension than the traditional 3/16 ring package. Just to give you some specific numbers, say a 3/16 ring package is going to be about 21 to 23 pounds of tangential load, right? That's the force that's in that ring package. You go down to, say, a 2 millimeter ring package, that's going to be about 10 pounds, 9 to 10 pounds of force. Well, if you lose a couple of pounds from a 21 pound oil ring, you still got plenty, more than you need, actually. Say, just for numbers again, a 3 millimeter ring package is about 12 to 15 pounds. So 3 millimeters have been really popular in a lot of applications for a long time because it's kind of that right blend of not too much force that generates excess heat and cylinder wear, but not so little that you kind of lose oil control. You think about the modern LS engine, just for an example, they don't start off with oil consumption problems, but we all know they tend to have oil consumption problems later in the engine's life. Well, part of that is the fact that 2.8 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, 2 millimeter oil ring loses tension. It starts off around that 9 to 10, and it loses tension over time. Now, when you say go from the 5W30 that the factory built that engine package for to, say, a 2050 or 1540, now I've got more oil viscosity with less ring tension because it lost tension over time. Well, that's where the oil consumption problems come in. That's where detonation problems come in. So our solution is to take that same smaller oil ring, which is lighter, which conforms better, all the things that are better about a smaller oil ring, but we're going to raise that tension up, and we're doing it by gas nitriding the expander. So it instantly adds 3 to 4 pounds of tension. So now that 2 millimeter, 10 pound oil ring is now actually a 2 millimeter, 13 to 14 pound oil ring. So it acts like a 3 millimeter oil ring. But most importantly, because of that gas nitriding process, not only did it raise the tension, it also increased the fatigue strength of that material. So it doesn't lose oil ring tension over time. So really, the endurance oil ring is the best gift you can give yourself if you've got a boosted application, E85, something where you're running a higher viscosity oil, especially if you're trying to run that lower, thinner ring package, right? I shouldn't say lower tension. I'm thinking lower tension, but that thinner ring package for better conformability doesn't have to be low tension. Now with the endurance oil ring, you can have thin rings for conformability, but have the proper tension for proper oil control. It gives you the best of both worlds. It's the 1-2 punch.
Wow, there you go. And you thought there wasn't going to be information on the holiday episode. Yes. Bang. Look at that. I just tee him up and he goes. And no, it was great. People were excited and it was cool to see everybody coming by the booth. And let's take a quick look back. Like, for instance, Mr. Tim Wilkerson was out there. Right. You and Wilk having a little conversation about, you don't have to reveal what Wilk was asking you. It was good to see Wilk out there, though.
It was great to see Wilk. In fact, I told him about the endurance rings. He said, give me some. We got to try them. So we're going to be sending him some. And because he's a great guy. He was a great guest to have on the Engine Performance Expo. I mean, like you said, we had the who's who of engine builders stop by the booth at PRI. So there was a lot of great conversations.
Absolutely. The booth, speaking of the booth, very nice setup. And a lot of commentary about the positioning, Total Seal and the Melling car right across the way. A lot of discussion. Everybody's asking me about that and excited about, the rivalry. I spoke to Hartford a little bit earlier in the week on my own WFO radio show, and he was excited about it. It was a good time, but we had a lot of fun out there. What else? You guys were working. This was not a hangout. You guys were hustling. Keith and Kevin and everybody. Mr. Gary Stinnett came by.
Oh yeah.
That is going like gangbusters. Everybody loving this Stinnett episode.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't listened to the Stinnett episode, do yourself a favor. Pause right now. Go download the Stinnett episode and listen to it. Gary dropped knowledge bombs left and right. By far, one of my favorite episodes. And I'm going to say, Gary's probably one of my new favorite guys. I mean, he was awesome. And then we got to have dinner, with Gary and Ron Shaver and all those guys at St. Elmo's. I mean, there was just some really great times throughout that whole week.
It was really great. You know, I obligated to go, of course, to go to dinner at St. Elmo's. It was great. Speaking of which, here was one. There was another evening.
There it is.
From Diamond and Pat Musey. And Pat was telling me about No Prep Kings and Lizzie. And then when I get home, I'm watching episodes, and it's like everything he said was true. They went out, they had great success. They won like 3 in a row. Dinner with Pat Musey. That was pretty cool.
By itself. Yeah, that's a dinner with Pat Musey. Period, full stop in the story. That by itself would have made a great week because it was tons of entertainment. Him and his wife Liz, they were great. I think she had the best liner of the whole night. But you know, it was fun.
Exactly, and just great episodes all around. Jack there and Larry Morgan. This is the only photo I got of Larry. You guys went right off to work. Larry Morgan, maybe one of my favorite episodes because he started telling us about the Equal 8 engine that he ran out there at the U.S. Nationals. And just great stuff. So great success out there at PRI. So much fun. So great to be back and success, I would call it.
Well, and again, there's lots to look forward to. I mean, pretty much all those people we mentioned have either been guests on Hidden Horsepower or we recorded an episode of Hidden Horsepower with them at PRI. So there's a lot of great things to look forward to on the podcast in 2022 because I think we recorded maybe close to 10 episodes of Hidden Horsepower at PRI. So looking forward to getting those out and seeing what everybody thinks about those.
Yes, coming soon. Subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. You can get there on the TotalSeal.com website. That'll take you to SoundCloud, but depending on how you want to do it on your mobile device, that's up to you, wherever you get your podcasts. And, you know, there's a couple others that we're working on getting it on as well. But the way I look at it, you know, like if you want to find the podcast, you will have no problem finding the podcast, even through our social media. All right, Lake, final thought from you to the audience out there as we wind down for 2021. We look forward to 2022. So many great things. I know right at the start, Engine Performance Expo going to be back 13th and 14th, right? Like that's, right. I got my travel booked. I'm excited. I'm going to Tennessee. We're going to do it again. This thing is getting more and more popular. A lot of people asking about the Engine Performance Expo, like what's going on there? What's it all about? Just goes to show that, you know, momentum is built with any kind of new endeavor.
Well, people are hungry for trusted resources. When you have knowledge, you know, very knowledgeable people that have been there, done that, and they're willing to kind of pull that curtain back a little bit and share some of that knowledge, which has kind of been the ethos of Hidden Horsepower from episode 1. These guys are sharing some of that knowledge, passing along that hidden horsepower, if you will, that's rolling right in to the Engine Performance Expo. And, you know, the Hidden Horsepower interview section of the Engine Performance Expo in January 13th, 14th. You can subscribe or register right now at engineperformanceexpo.com. We got quite the lineup, Joe. We've got Mark Cronquist, who's been on here before, yes. Along with Keith and Jeff Dorton. Again, guys who've been on before. We also got Jason Line coming on.
He's on. He's official now.
It is. Hartford twisted his arm.
Good job.
He's on. So that alone is a great first day. That transition of NASCAR and drag racing, it all happens right there. And then the next day, we've got guys like Billy Godbold, another veteran of the podcast, as well as Vic Hill, another NASCAR dirt late model guy that's going to take us into another territory. And then we're going to end it up with yet another returning guest, Tony Bischoff. So we're just going to be able to continue to dig deeper. These guys have been all enjoyed being on the podcast, thought it was great, and they're ready to come back and take a second swing at it to share a little more of that hidden horsepower. So I think 2022 teeing up to be a great year.
The horsepower king. Wow. And everybody needs to know that when you sign up and it's free, you can ask questions. Like we've got a little tablet there and people throughout the day. I know it's tough to watch like 8 hours straight, but you can ask questions of these guys and definitely take the conversation in a certain direction. Some of it is live. And so we encourage you to do that. Lake, on behalf of me, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be able to learn so much. I'm an interested person and curious about what makes these race cars go that I love so much. And to receive this kind of direct education and to be able to ask and kind of shape the conversation a little bit with these guys, it has been amazing to me. And I'm just like, trying to keep up, but I feel like I'm doing all right, and I'm learning more and more. And I can flex some muscle when I'm having conversations with my friends a little bit. And then Hidden Horsepower is doing for me a lot. So I can't even imagine what it's doing for actual engine builders out there. So thank you. Merry Christmas. I appreciate you. And I appreciate being able to do this and being exposed to all these great personalities and the stories. Oh my gosh, guys, things that we have learned just in the last 2 weeks. Like Lake said it on the thing. Like, if only a camera, we'd put up a social media bit. If only a camera could follow us around PRI for everything, just the stories, like the stories that are not made for the air just yet. Unbelievable.
Yeah, just yet.
We're going to try to leak them out. No doubt.
Right. Well, Joe, I got to say, you're the man for the job. You've done a fantastic job shepherding the podcast. Your blend of enthusiasm and professionalism is the right fit. This wouldn't be what it is without you. We can't thank you enough for leading the way on this. And we're having fun on this ride. We know now from the feedback from PRI that everybody's on board. They're loving it. They want more. So, hey, we're just going to keep the foot to the gas, keep on going, and see what we can make happen in 2022.
Excellent. We got to hang out with Ben Strader and Aussie Ben and Chuck. Everybody's got podcasts. It's great. There's a whole engine building podcast ecosystem growing, and I'm proud to be part of it. Lake, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's tell everybody, go hit the podcast feed right now. And if they need piston rings, you guys are still making them during the holidays, right? The engine shops don't stop this is the winter break. They need their parts, and you guys are doing your best. Where can they get a hold of you guys if they need something? They want one of the new parts, or they want to recap something that they've got already set up with you guys. Where should they go? What should they do?
So the beginning point is totalseal.com. Everything is there. There's information about the different types of rings. If you need to order a replacement ring, you need to order some tools, you want to order some Hidden Horsepower swag, you can do all that at totalseal.com. And of course, the phone numbers are on there, either 800 number or the direct dial number 623-587-7400. But also all the sales guys' personal emails are on there where you send them an email. Because if let's say you're overseas and you're not in the Arizona time zone and you want to get a hold of them, well, you don't have to worry about trying to get them on the phone. You can just go right there and click on the link and get their email, send them an email. You got the request a ring. If you know what you've got an idea what your application is and you've got the bore size and ring group dimensions, pop it in there and send it to us. And somebody's going to get back to you and say, hey, here's the recommended ring set for your application and why. So totalseal.com is the place to begin.
Excellent work. Lake, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And thank you very much for unlocking that hidden horsepower.
Same to you, Joe. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
There he goes, Lake Speed Jr. with us here on Hidden Horsepower presented by Total Seal. Everybody, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you on the other side with Hidden Horsepower.